I am a superstitious person, so I have encountered many strange things since I was a child, to the point where I sometimes don't know if they were real or not. So I will list them in order for easier tracking. 1. My first memory, I don't know if it was real or a dream, but I remember it vividly. When I was around 4 or 5 years old, I went to visit my grandparents' village and suddenly felt like someone was guiding me to go out to the rice field. The rice field was deserted, with no one around, stretching endlessly. Then I climbed onto a big grave and lay down on it. After that, I don't remember how I got back. I don't know if it was real or a dream because I don't remember any dreams from that time. 2. The second memory is around the same time, but it happened in the city. I dreamt that my uncle, who was abroad, came back. I couldn't see his face clearly, but his voice sounded exactly like my uncle. The door swung open, and outside was pitch black. I ran out to grab him, but then I don't remember what happened next. Many years later, my cousin mentioned that one time I sleepwalked and ran towards the door, so I'm not sure if it was that incident. 3. The third memory is around the age of 10. At that time, my family lived in a housing complex, and I used to sleep on a mat with my cousins. I saw a big white shadow under the mat, where the furniture and tables were. It looked like an eraser. I didn't know what it was, and I was so scared that I didn't dare to go out or call anyone. I just lay there quietly. The shadow was there until I fell asleep. In the morning, it was gone. 4. When I moved to a new house when I first entered university, on the first night sleeping in the new house, I was still awake when I felt like someone was pressing down on me. I opened my eyes and saw a person sitting on the sofa across from me. They slowly stood up and moved towards the balcony next to where I was lying, and then I was no longer being pressed down. When I first moved in, there were many strange signs, like footsteps and such, but they eventually stopped. 5. When I started working, I met a very beautiful girl with captivating eyes. The experiences I had with her were unforgettable. One time around 8:30 p.m., I went to pick her up for a date. I was waiting outside when I saw her coming down the stairs. In less than a second, I saw a dark shadow, like a woman with loose hair, as if wearing a grayish raincoat, standing right next to my girlfriend, with a vacant look on her face. I was terrified and couldn't move, and I only dared to tell her what happened when we went to a different food stall. My girlfriend confirmed that the woman often appeared in her dreams. Another time, I was sleeping in my girlfriend's room. She was a student, so she woke up early at 8 a.m. to go to work, while I had a flexible schedule and woke up late. I dreamt that I was still lying on the bed, but there were many dark shadows lurking near the entrance. It scared me so much. In another dream, a 3 or 4-year-old child jumped onto my stomach and shouted, "Brother-in-law, brother-in-law." Then a hand gently pushed the child away to let me sleep, and when I turned to the right, there was the gray raincoat lady who often appeared with my girlfriend. When my girlfriend asked, her mother had a miscarriage of a baby boy, which scared me a lot. The two of us later visited City X and went to the palace of the Cat King. I could sense the eerie atmosphere from the Cat King's palace, and it scared me so much that I only dared to stand outside. Those who have been there probably know that there is a photo on the right side of the altar showing the daughter-in-law and son-in-law of the Cat King, with twisted and spiraled faces. I was so scared that I didn't dare to look closely. My girlfriend was braver. She went straight into the room and quickly ran out, saying that there were 2 ghosts sitting and looking at her. 6. After working in City Y for a while, I visited the town of Z and foolishly went to have my fortune read there. For those who don't understand, let me explain a bit. Fortune telling with playing cards is a deliberate way of communicating with spirits, which should not be done in places with a lot of negative energy. Anyone who likes can follow me home. And I was indeed followed home, my friends. That whole week, around 3 a.m., I would suddenly wake up and feel like there was someone else in the room. My life force was being drained away, leaving me completely depleted, and the room felt suffocatingly dark and dense. A few days later, I tried fortune telling with playing cards again, and the positions of the cards were reversed, which was a strong sign of possession. I was so scared that I ran to my friend's room and performed a ritual to get rid of it. Since then, I've stayed away and never dared to engage in any more foolish fortune telling in unfamiliar places. 7. A few years later, I was haunted by a spiritual connection. In the first dream that I remember about it, it appeared in the form of a person I used to have a crush on in high school. It took me flying all over the place, from rivers to mountains. Then it took me to a movie theater, where we sat and talked. It pulled out a catalog of animated pictures, each depicting me dating a different girl. Then it said it wanted to love me and follow me. Looking back, it sent chills down my spine. I couldn't understand when it started following me and how it observed me so closely. Thus began a 2-month period of pure nightmares. Every time I slept, I dreamt of it coming to court me, and we would go out together. In the dream, there was a deep sense of love, so much love, but only when I woke up did I feel scared. Each time, it would be a different person, a different skin, but the feeling about them was exactly the same. They were all people I knew, friends, and past lovers. Fortunately, I hadn't dreamt about any sexual encounters because if I had, it would have been even worse. Near the end, when it realized I was about to cut it off, it started appearing during the daytime, casting a shadow over me. Whether it was noon or afternoon, whenever I closed my eyes, it would appear and take me out to play, damn it. But that time I didn't completely get rid of it when I cut it off. Later, when I went to have it checked again, I found out that it was still following me. It's just that after being injured by the spiritual warfare ritual performed by the master, it didn't dare to reveal itself anymore. The terrifying thing about this spiritual connection is that it causes all my positive connections to suddenly vanish, leaving me mentally unstable for a long time. 8. Whenever I stayed in hotels or guest houses, I would often be pressed down by something. One time, I dreamt that I was doggying with someone in front of a mirror. Its face was messy with tangled hair, and instead of a normal face, it was pitch black. Another time, I dreamt that I was in a hotel room with 2 beds. Someone I knew was in the bathroom, and I sat on one of the beds. There was someone sitting at the opposite bed, typing on a computer. Behind the bed was a mirror. I glanced at it and when I looked back, the person had disappeared completely, replaced by several figures reflected in the mirror. I was terrified and woke up only after a few minutes, trying to escape. 9. The most joyful experience I've ever had was when I underwent an eye-opening ceremony. I went to see a master, who told me to sit and meditate. After a while, my eyes started flickering continuously, as if I was facing a bright light. During that time, I saw a person sitting very high up, on top of a mountain under the morning sunlight, but it was a dazzling golden color like sunset. I could only see certain parts of this person, as they were too bright to look directly at, such as the clothing, hair, and feet. When I opened my eyes, the figure matched exactly like the image of the Buddha hanging on the wall. 10. Dreams that predict the future. Back then, I was struggling with a romantic dilemma, unsure whether to give up or continue. I dreamt that I was in a scene, sitting in frustration, discussing with some friends about the person who was dating someone and had returned to their ex. And the next evening, that person from the dream invited me to a cafe, and I sat in the exact spot from my dream. I told them about what happened, and in the evening, my ex indeed came back.